When you use the app, you have it like set to your set to wherever you live. But if you go on the little like Tinder grinder ripoff thing, it will just take whatever's local, whatever's near you. So I just, out of curiosity, I just figured I'd take that thing when I was in Tuolumne. I just figured I'd see like, all right, well, let's just see who's on it over here. And I said like, oh, I went to high school with that girl. Okay, swipe left. I'm not because I live in San Francisco, so not really looking for anybody, just seeing who's there. She's like, okay, swipe left. So okay, oh that girl, oh she looks cool. She looks familiar. I don't know her, but okay. And then as it went on, it quickly became like the stereotype, kind of like 300-pound chick showing off her tits with like a like with a picture of her baby, like yeah,
like I say, a picture like a pit bull over her fucking shoulder.
That too. Yeah, there's one with a pit bull over her shoulder, like yeah, just like. And I'm not trying to be like a condescending dick, but it's really one of those things that started off like, okay, the liberal artsy, the liberal artsy hippie chick. There's all the one or two kind of like nerdy chicks in town, whatever, and then okay, just the girl that's got it together, and then it just slowly progressed to like it very quickly ran out. It just started jumping and just like like in China, like some chick living in Chinese camp, just like she was just in her bra, but she's like 300 pounds. Like, oh god, no, sorry. Maybe you have a lovely personality, but swiping left. I'm sorry.
They got that like nice filter built in where it's like, okay, we go from progressively better to worse. Kind of like when you go through search results, you're like, okay, all the stuff you really want's on the first page, maybe second, but by 3, 4, 5, that's it.
And by like 20 swipes, it was just kind of like the thing was they're like, look, that's all I got. It's a small town.
The only thing I got left is here's some men that might interest you. I'm just I'm not saying nothing wrong with it. I mean, like, look, as long as you don't make eye contact.
Some it's like a profile picture of some guy that lives on like, now we're getting really technical, but some guy that lives on Big Hill,
Yeah.
In front of his trailer, posing like in front of his like Bronco.
I got a Bronco. It's got a lot of room in the back seat, and no mirrors, don't worry about it.
We even took out the rear view mirror, so I don't gotta worry about that.
It's not really legal to drive, but other things, we don't have a problem.
What is legal since Obama Hussein took over?
Yeah, he was gonna take my mirror anyway, so I took it down so he couldn't have it. He was personally gonna show up to my house on his magic carpet with his turban on and take my rear view mirror.
Goes outside, looks up at the sky. I know you watched me with your satellites, Obama. Because you ain't gonna get my mirror. I got it. He's like shaking.
I'm really on America's Most Wanted list. They totally want me. You know what I mean? Like, not really in like a gay way, but maybe they do in a gay way. I'm not sure. Fuck, once again, nothing wrong with it. I'm not judgmental. I just hate fucking Obama. Does that make me a racist? Maybe. I don't know. Fuck you.
A little bit of everything, I guess. No, don't take this as me as being some kind of like Casanova or like some guy who's just like, oh yeah, I got such high picky. I don't know, just something I noticed about the app.
Broncos. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I don't do that either. I'm not gonna. I don't fuck men with Broncos or men for that matter. I mean, that might change one day. Who knows? I don't think it will. But
I mean, he hates Obama. I got to get over that, but.
Somebody in like Tuolumne is convinced I moved to San Francisco. He's like, oh, I think he's fucking gay. He just went home. Just like, no. I just wanted to change. Like, yeah, you wanted to change. You wanted to get a dick in your mouth. Like, no, we fucking didn't. And this isn't like some guy who's trying to bust my balls. This is a guy that literally thinks like, it's okay, man. It's okay.
I don't know what it is. San Francisco. It's kind of like. By hating on San Francisco, I think that a lot of times people just do it because it's like, oh, it's a way to like bash on gays, but without really saying that you are. Sort of like how like saying like you hate Obama like to the extreme is kind of like, well, that's a way that you're allowed to be racist if you sort of think. Because that's how I think some people are. I think some people it's like they literally say they hate Obama this much, and it's really not because of his politics or anything like that. It's just they're like, hey, it's a free way to be racist. That's what I really think. I really think a lot of people that say they hate Obama, they're really racist more than anything else. If he happened to be some other guy.
I think it's one of those things, and I know this has become two white guys talking about the problem with racism, but I mean, it's like
we all got a stake in there. Because check, we're all like a race, everybody's equal.
Well, there's what was I going to say? First off, I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And I'm Spencer Scott Holmes, and you're on the Old Man Orange podcast.
Yay! All right, now back to racism. So, I think it's one of those things where it's kind of like you got like
But
older
really quick,
generations.
let's get back to that. Just like that already just sounds like what kind of podcast we're on? Oh, we're on the old man podcast. Well, what is it about? Well, it's two white guys. I'm not really too sure what their age is. For all I know, they could be 70-year-old men just going blah 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 racism.
This is the first episode they tune into. We already open up with like okay Cupid, then like fucking conspiracy theories, then racism, all like within the first 3 minutes. Um, but no, there is like I think you get like some older generations. They're like they're semi-racist. It's not like oh I hate black people, something like that. It's more like one of those things like no I could be friends with a black guy, but I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could work for him. It's just that weird thing. I think you get some people that are kind of like
Yeah,
that
that's
where
like
they're not like full on racist, but they just got racist qualities to them, you know. And I think that shows through someone like Obama. He's like, well, Commander Chief. It's not because he's black. It's just I think it's just politics. That's all. I don't agree with that, you know.
exactly. Really quickly, hold on a second. What do you need?
How do you turn the volume up on the headphones?
Exit back. Go back to the main menu of the PlayStation or whatever you're watching.
Hi, Laura.
Ryan says hello.
Hi.
She says hello back. So go back to
I heard.
Netflix. It's kind of weird. Now hold down the PlayStation button. Now go to adjust sound and devices.
Please leave this in because we got a tutorial just for there may be that listener out there.
That's okay. It actually took me a while to figure this one out too, because I literally did the thing that she just did, where you flip through every other menu before realizing that that's where it's located at.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It'd be kind of nice almost if the PlayStation had little volume buttons on it, but that's beside the point.
We'll get there one day.
That's okay. I'm already kind of great. It's such a small feature, but I love that you can just plug your headphones right into the fucking controller on PlayStation, Wii U, and Xbox. It's cool. But
I still haven't figured it out, but I'll just have to re-listen to this and
now
listen
you know.
to your like beat by beat, listen to like your tutorial you gave Laura. Like, oh, there it is. Okay, cool.
But racist.
But yeah, I think you just get some
Yeah.
I think you get some older generations that are just like, yeah, they're kind of racist, but not to like the Klan kind of racism. It's just more of just like they slowly progressing to okay, I can accept this more. Then all of a sudden we drop a black president, like, oh fuck, even though he's already almost out of office.
Well,
So it's
that's how
kinda
I feel
you know.
like. I'm not gonna like pigeonhole something here, but like it's just an example. That's how like Tennessee sort of is. It's like there's the unwritten like race kind of like thing there where it's like, okay, nowhere does it ever say that this is a white or a black only area, but we don't speak of it, we don't mention it, but you almost see this like invisible like area where it's just like all of a sudden you'd be walking, there's like white people, and then it's all black people, and then once again you go back to another section, it's all white people again. And you're like, this is fucking weird. I mean, then every once in a while they slightly intermingle, but not like a whole lot. It's not like California where it's just kind of cool and nobody cares. It literally is these like mixed divisions.
Is it kind of like I bet it's one of those things they knew you're from California because you had long hair.
Well, like I felt that being like from California, I could walk between any world. In a sense, there was no judgment. I remember we went to
You're a day
we went
walker.
to like this wrestling thing, and it wasn't really. We went to some multiple wrestling events. We saw like wrestling from like the lowest point it could be at to like a pretty good level. But there was like this sort of mid-grade area. It was at like the Tennessee's like Tennessee fairground area, and they had kind of like right below like WWE level. Like it still had some actual wrestlers there and stuff, but then it probably had some up and coming guys, and it was like the size of like a small concert, I guess you could say, or so. So we're in there, and it's just got the widest fucking people known to mankind. And there comes this like black man and like his two sons, and he's looking around going like, holy crap, there's a lot of honkies in here. And then he looks up at us and goes, there you go.
Did he actually say that?
No, he didn't say that,
actually
but it just they had this like.
Is he like a 1971 if he said we got a lot of honkies in here?
Well, here's the thing.
And that one doesn't even make me mad. It's just like, okay,
No.
right,
There
I'll take it.
was like the worst white people. There was a guy that was probably like 600 pounds, like in a wheelchair, sitting at the front of the ring, like yelling, "Run, run, run!" Just the whole time, like drinking beers and stuff, like like the epitome of like the worst that American can be.
Did he have like a girl like on a chain next to him going "Shibado Shizaba"?
Practically,
Throwing like a living animal down his gullet.
except for that lady on the chain, probably was like related to him, so it was fucking weird.
Pa, this is kind of weird.
But literally, this like black family, they literally turn, look, they look, they're looking up at us, and it's almost like, kids, go up there. There looks like some safe boys up there with long hair. I can tell they're from California. They're not the other kind of long-haired boys. And like, so literally, we're just sitting like the only black people that are in there are like all sitting right next to us. Like, and we were there first because we were like, we got to get there early so we can get good seats, you know?
That's gonna make you feel like, oh, cool. I'm part of the clan. What'd you say? Oh no, I mean
clan.
that. I mean like,
yeah. The cool kids clan.
It's a term we use.
So there was that, and then I remember like later on there was another wrestling one we went to. It was like in like not like a Days Inn, but something like that. Like one of their like conference rooms that you probably in the 70s might have had some nice business meetings there, but by this point it just kind of got old and funky. So they slapped this like kind of like ring together. It was equivalent of going to like a concert you would see like all like the teenage high school bands playing at, but instead it was like wrestling, except for you had it was literally what they call Billy Bob wrestling. Like I didn't really know what that meant for the longest time, just being from California and all. And then you finally get to see this, you're like, I know what they mean by Billy Bob wrestling. It's when a bunch of guys with bad teeth who are not in good shape at all, but they got their shirts off and they're wrestling, and you're like, oh God. And the audience is getting so into it that you almost start going like, are they not in on it? Do they not realize that this is a show? It's not like an actual sport, like where they look like they're gonna like hang somebody if like their person doesn't win. And there was a point too where there was some guy one of the wrestler guys comes up, he's like, hey, you guys want to get in the ring right now? And we're like, no. He's like, no, I'll give you $5. Can I kick you in the face? And I'm like, no, it's just part of the act. What's going on? No, I'll kick you in the fucking face. You're okay. Don't worry about it. It's like, no. Don't.
How the?
Yeah, yes. Have I thought about being a wrestler? Of course, but not this way.
How have you never told me this story before?
I don't know. It's
some guy. All right. No, first off, nobody saw the facial expression you made. You pushed the entire left side of your mouth to your face, just entirely, and talking through kind of like your lower lip only. And it was like, that gave me a very clear visual. But I'm just like, how have you never told me this? I think I am surprised. You're my best friend. You're like, you never told me. Yeah, a guy came up to me, offered me $5 to kick me in the face.
Wrestling arena. And here's the thing: we found this flyer
in
California. The other wrestling one we went to, the one that was at the fairgrounds, which was technically by comparison really fucking nice. It was like mid-grade wrestling. We got the flyer there. I was like, oh sure, more wrestling, fucking all right. It was like the week after, and this wrestling arena was only about like a handful of blocks away from the really fucking nice football stadium they have there in Nashville for what's the football team for them?
Oh, you're asking.
I know I'm asking the wrong one.
I am wearing a Flash shirt.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Well, whatever. They had a really nice stadium. That's all I have to say. I was pretty impressed with it. It looked better than a lot of the ones I've seen. Maybe because the only ones I've really seen is like the A's and the Giants one. The Giants one's pretty nice. But like those other ones, this one looked fucking like Stadium of the Future. It looked like this is what Tennessee put all their money into. But
like you walk in, it goes dun 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 dun.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually didn't walk in. I just saw it from the outside because it's all fucking big and open, and it's got these big like expanding like. It looks like they would close in, but they don't. But whatever. Mm-hmm. So it felt like you weren't that far away from like regular folk town, but it was just in this old funky motel. This area where like the one guy that was like running it, I think like he was the only guy that looked like, okay, this guy might go somewhere. He was actually in shape. He looked like he was physically fit. He was like 20 years old. I think his dad was kind of the guy who's putting this thing together. But it was like all the other talent that they rounded up was like 45-year-old hairy men like with overalls on and no shirt. And then, of course, just Hillbilly Joe, who was probably 25, owned a Bronco. And fucking like, it was, I'll kick you in the fucking face. It'll be okay. I'll be cool. I'll be into it. Don't worry about it.
You gotta build tolerance to the face kicking.
I'll get kicked in the face all the time. I'm like, I can tell. But yeah, and I just remember there was people there. There was these old people that were just like, and you're just like, they're so serious. Like, because I was just so used to like, there was this really cool wrestling place in Hayward in California, and it's like an official kind of training ground for like WWE and the other ones and stuff. And then they have people that come in from Reno, and they do kind of neat shows where they probably only have about 50 seats in there, and it's televised locally. You can watch it where you're at, because I know I watched it when I was in San Francisco. And that one was fun, because everybody was in there, and everybody's having a good time, and they're cheering, and all the wrestlers look decent. Nobody looks like fucking way out of shape or anything like that. You know, and people are cracking jokes at him, and like it's all in good humor. Like everybody's totally there. They know it's totally entertainment and having a great time. For some of these people here, like I don't know. I'm hoping they're not placing bets on these guys and losing because like they really like what's the seriousness?
What if it just becomes this whole weird kind of like subculture? Like once you leave, like it's just it's way more darker. Like once the game's over, everyone's like they all stay a little later, and they all just kind of like they dim the lights, and they kind of like all slowly dance together, kind of like that part like in Vulgar, just I get to be daddy's little boy, like something really fucked up like that.
Yeah,
Lights
Vulgar.
flickering on and off, you know. Some out of tune record is playing, an oldies song from the 50s.
That wouldn't be that far off for that one, because it was.
This is what the winner gets. A slow dance.
I mean,
with
I'll say
daddy.
this: it was one of those ones like it was a great life experience just to see. It's like, oh wow, so. I mean, if anybody ever watched a wrestler and went, man, that guy really dropped low, it's like, no, he didn't. Yeah, there was way more levels to go down. Well, I'll say this: that first show I was talking about with like the only black family that came and like hung out next to us, that one looked kind of like some of those arenas you see in the wrestler. Like they're like that size.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a good crowd and everything, but it wasn't WWE
Like
or
the
TNA
finale
or
of the
anything
movie?
like that. Yeah, or even there's a couple other parts too. Even the part where like they're having like that hardcore match with like the staples and all that
Stapler
stuff.
guy, yeah.
But which I've always wanted to see one of those shows. I just never been able to find one of those like hardcore ones yet.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's fucking, I feel so bad. It's like you don't need to punish yourself for us, you know. But at the same time, if you're gonna do it, I wouldn't mind just seeing, you know, just saying.
If you're already gonna do it, just wait for me, okay?
I mean, I don't really want you to do it, but if you're gonna do it, like, let me show up.
You're like the girl, like in God Bless America. Well, if you're just gonna kill yourself, since you're already gonna kill yourself, can I just watch? Hold on,
Yeah.
And then she gets like the little like plastic like
It's a fucking like
laundry cover, you know, just like okay. You know?
just makes it even more awkward. Yeah, that's sort of how I feel.
Speaking
Is
of
that Billy Joe Armstrong in that movie? Oh, she just has her headphones on.
Yeah.
I've never seen him in a fucking movie before. That's why I just went, except for The Simpsons.
okay.
But, well, like every time, 3 times a year, there's this grand moment that comes out in life. Something that I look more forward to than anything else. Well, just about anything else. But I look more forward to these movies more than I look to any live-action version of superhero movies. And I'll say this, almost any other movie for that matter. You know, even a Quentin Tarantino movie could be coming out. I'm looking just as much forward to these as I am that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And these DCU movies that we seem to talk about more than any other podcast out there, I'm not too sure, but I like to assume we do, because that's like almost been our main topic since like day one is fucking these things. But it's because, you know what, there's a special place in my heart for all these, and I don't feel like they ever get enough exposure. Yeah, some people see them, but there's so many people that might be really actually even into Batman and Superman and shit, and they've never seen any of these movies, and you're like, if you've seen The Dark Knight, that movie's good, but comparison to a lot of these other ones, it's like nothing. These other movies are like the creamiest center that you could have for anything fucking amazing. I don't know where I'm getting at.
I didn't know where you're going. I was like, oh, it's
they're like they're just so good. Like they're pretty much perfect. Like you could not even ask for any more. Every once in a while they have one that's kind of okay, maybe not up to par. But for the fact that they've had 30 of them in, let's say, 6 years, if that even, maybe 7, and for the fact that they're practically all at least a 3 out of 4, but most of them are like 3.5 to 4 out of 4 movies, I just love them so much. And Batman, Bad Blood, I think is one of those ones that's pretty far up there.
I thought this one was pretty good. For me, it's one of those ones where I guess I will say that I think it's one of those ones where it is a really awesome movie, and if you're a fan of Batman, definitely get it. And I'm not talking about just kind of like, oh yeah, I like Dark Knight. I don't mean just that. I mean, you read the comics, you play Arkham. I think this is a movie totally worth getting. I think it's kind of interesting that they keep on that now. They're not all of them, but most of them are now taking place in the same universe. Because before it'd just be a different kind of universe, and they could possibly be in the same universe, just different animation style. But now they're all being fairly consistent and kind of like pushing a story forward. You know?
Yeah, which I remember when that kind of first came out, I was kind of like, oh, because I don't know. Continual things, it's like they're good, but sometimes the nice thing about having just a single shot is I feel like you get more play with it. Where once they're continual, they're kind of like stuck in one section. But by about this point, though, I don't know. I do kind of like them. if they do the thing where they're doing 2 continual movies a year and then 1 kind of like solo movie, I'm fine with that. That's a lot of fucking entertainment for 1 year. You know, you get 3 fucking movies. Last year we got Throne of Atlantis, which was really good. It was in the continual one for the Justice League ones. And we got Batman versus Robin, which is one of the best ones they ever did. That's one of the best ones, yeah. And then Justice League Gods and Monsters. Or no, wait.
Gods and Monsters was its own thing. Yeah, Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, Gods and Monsters was its own thing. I was getting that confused with the Monster Mayhem one that was the other Batman. The kind of the kiddier animation one, but it was still really fun. Mm-hmm. So, well, technically, I guess by that standard, we get fucking 5 of them a year if you include those like kids ones of Batman, which are almost just as good as long as you don't look at them like to expect to be something serious, expect it to be something fun. But Batman Bad Blood, I think what was really kind of cool is, each one of these ones, it seems like they kind of focus on one character and go, okay, this is sort of their story. Whether or not it's called their name, it's kind of like you had the Flashpoint one. Even though it's called Justice League Flashpoint, it's a Flash movie. Throne of Atlantis, it was like an Aquaman movie. And this one's kind of cool because it's like a Nightwing movie almost more than anything else.
Yeah.
And it's about him, Batman. He goes out, fights crime. He's battling Firefly and the Electrocutioner and
Hellhounds, the Calculator.
Yeah, Hellhound. A bunch of guys that probably never get any screen time, excluding Firefly. He seems to get a lot recently for some reason. But all these guys there, and then Batwoman shows up, which is kind of cool because I don't think Batwoman's ever been in anything animated. There was that one Batman movie called Batman: The Mystery of Batwoman, but it was like a different Bat. It wasn't the same character. It was like
it was set like in the Bruce Timm universe, but it wasn't the same character. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A really good movie, but yeah, it was a different one. So this is kind of the first time they ever put that character, the Cassandra Cain version, in here. So he's in there saving her, and then next thing you know, they put the Damian's like clone brother thing from like Batman Incorporated in there. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to blow up the whole place, so Batman has to end up saving Batwoman. Next thing you know, the whole building blows up, she gets out, and then nobody knows what happens to Bruce Wayne. Is he dead? Is he missing? So on. And even Alfred's in there fucking impersonating Bruce Wayne and all like fucking like stressed out as usual.
I
feel so bad for Alfred.
We should say, in the case of the first episode you listened to, or first time you heard us go over a movie, there's a lot of spoilers ahead. But I will say that Alfred really fucks some shit up in this movie. This is a movie where he literally just like, he sees Calculator, he's just like, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of this guy. Like bare knuckle boxes this dude. And
that part was so badass.
It's one of those things where like even Alfred got a chance in there. I mean, first off, we'll say this arc, before we get too far into that.
This is technically the third one in the Batman arc, so it's like, but it's also connected to the Justice League one too, which the Justice League one's almost on its third one.
Yeah. Now this right here, I'll say, let's just say this real quick. They almost seem to be kind of like, I just realized this. Well, if we want to have Superman or Wonder Woman or Aquaman in one of these stories, then what we got to do, a Justice League one. If we want to do Batman, we'll just fucking do Batman. Did you realize that?
Well, I feel kind of bad because Superman, I don't think has had a solo one since the
Elite.
No, that there was the one, the Superman. The brand, was it Unchained or Unbound or?
I think it was Unbound. Yeah.
It's one of those ones where I remember, like, when that one came out, we only got to talk about it for 10 minutes because we had somebody else on there. Like, they didn't see it, so I mean, granted, it's like they didn't have anything to say in it. But I remember I was like, man, I really want to fucking talk about that movie. But that came out during Man of Steel.
Yeah, they just literally, good friend of ours, Cisco, he literally just came on the podcast. Can I come on? Well, we're going to talk about this movie. Okay, so we just had to like, all right, we're going to talk about this movie you didn't see, and just kind of stood there staring at us the whole time. Like, all right, let's just beat through this.
But that was the last time Superman had a solo one. And that's probably, like, I'll say this, out of all the Superman ones, that might be my least favorite one out of all the ones they released.
Mm-hmm. It was good.
It's good, but it's not amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Where, yeah, Batman, it's always bad. Batman sells, no matter what. Just slap Batman's name on the cover. You can have a Suicide Squad movie, slap Batman on the cover.
Exactly. That's what the Assault on Arkham basically is. Just the Suicide Squad movie. They just disguise it as Batman. But even though Batman's got a couple...
And an Arkham Asylum thing.
Yeah. But they do have the whole, what was I going to say regarding, basically, this one is trying to pull mostly from Grant Morrison. I mean, it's still in its own story still, but it's trying to go with Grant Morrison's arc between Batman Incorporated and then, like, Batman and Robin when Damian was Robin and Batman was... Or Dick Grayson was Batman. So...
Which is really cool, because I love those stories where... Just like, I love seeing Dick Grayson in charge. To me, that makes more sense. When they did the Azrael thing, it's like, I think they were just trying to do that. It just been one of those ones like, logically Dick Grayson should be it, but let's just like try to pull a fast one on the readers and say, hey, let's put Azrael in there because he's new and he's hip, he's blonde, you know, he's like a surfer dude. It's the '90s. Fuck you.
That was one of those things. I bet that they were trying to do maybe like a new Coke kind of thing, possibly. We just like they weren't planning to do it for long term, but just release this thing and just say, oh, let's see how they like it. And like, oh, okay, well, they liked the whole Bane part, but then once Azrael got in, they got kind of pissed off. So fuck it, let's just bring Bats back. You know.
And here's the thing, I really like Azrael. I think that's a really cool character, but it just felt like it was in there just to be a curveball. That's why it was in there, because everybody probably was like, "Oh fuck, well who is it gonna be? It's gonna be Dick Grayson." Like in a sense, so they already knew it. So I mean, I get where they were going at, but and it was supposed to, and then Batman kind of like makes it like, "It's okay. I mean, Dick, come on. I mean, you got your own thing going on. I didn't want to fucking mess that shit up, you know." Hell, Azrael, he's like new. He's like, he got blonde hair and everything. Kids like him.
He walks in the ponytail.
Your name's fucking Dick, and it's 1994. Like, you tell me what I'm supposed to do.
I mean, the jokes write themselves. They even have a joke.
I'm man wing now. Yeah, well, you know, fuck, you know.
You always be that little boy of wonder to me. No, but there's that.
Azrael, that's a man's name. Hell, he's got blonde hair and it's long and I can touch it.
You just see like Batman just caressing his hair, like so flowy, so nice. What are you doing? Oh, nothing. I was just admiring them long locks of hair.
So it's like to see finally Dick Grayson kind of. I think that was the first time where Dick Grayson finally was Batman, was in the Grant Morrison stuff. That's just really cool and it's kind of fun because I like when Dick Grayson puts on. He's almost like sort of like the fun Batman in a sense, since you've had kind of the dark brooding Batman for so many years. Now it's like, okay, well here's a guy. He's like, he doesn't really want to do this job because he's got his own thing going on. But when he does put Batman on, it's almost like he's bringing back some of that old charm, that old whiz in a sense. And then he's got Damian sitting there kind of going like, well, I fucking should be wearing the costume with his arms crossed as usual.
Mm-hmm. Like, you know, just being like condescending dick to everything. But then, you know, he's good at his job. But then, like, I think that the thing about what's good about that dynamic is they're always kind of like, none of them really top the other. They both always kind of just like, are always constantly butting heads. But they're always, all right, well, they can kind of keep this dialogue going. It's not like Damian says something stupid and then, like, you know, Dick puts him down, then he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess you got."
Dick just fucking pulls over in the Batmobile and just starts slapping him.
What? Where's your ninja training now, you little bitch? What? You know, just starts.
My mother never trained me to be slapped. I don't have a defense against this.
Well, what they did like what was interesting is they just like
really... Jim Gordon rolls up slowly in a police car, just watching fucking Batman slap this kid. The guy's like, "Should we do something about that?" No, just keep driving.
Yeah, he's Batman. Slowly drives. He's Batman. What the fuck are we gonna do?
Here's the thing. You say something, he'll turn around and just start slapping you like that. It's not a pretty sight. Cops have to go home to their wives afterwards. They don't know what to say.
Is this your new rookie, Jim? Like, oh, well, it looks like he needs some bat slapping. Like, gets him out.
His fucking fist comes up. Just starts walking towards it. The guy starts backing up like, oh, God.
Oh, I just like to see that. He just like goes, it's his initiation. Like, I gotta see if he's worthy of Gotham. Ow, stop it, stop it.
Slapping him across the face. Bam, bam, bam.
Do that, huh? You know, nobody does anything because it's Batman.
But so the cool thing is, okay, now you got Dick Grayson and Damian going out fighting crime, and then you got Batwoman who's sort of there too, and, you know, Dick already seems to know her. And then the cool thing, too, is in this one, they also introduce Batwing, Lucius Fox's son. And he kind of just shows up. He's like, yo, Dad, we're going out to lunch? Sorry, I can't go there. Yeah, you fucking got your meetings and shit. Well, I'll just kind of hang out and wait till next time. And he's just going to back.
The lines verbatim. Look, we really got to get past the exposition. Just skim, just get to the bare bones of what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just get there.
We got a lot to cram into an hour and 10 minutes, so, you know.
You know, it's kind of first, it's like Lucius doesn't want him to put on the suit or whatnot. He's like, well, I'm making the suit for Batman. Yeah, well, fucking give me that, Dad. I need to go out there and fight some crime. We can't find Bruce Wayne. I already know that Bruce is Batman. Oh, you did you? Yeah, your fucking son. Oh, that's a shame. Trying to keep that a secret. I didn't want you to go to the military, let alone fight with Bruce. Everything dies around him.
Like my marriage, you know, for like making him... Suits all
marriage,
yeah.
Parents,
my life,
the boy that he took under his wing.
You everything just does kind of die around him. But what they do that's interesting in this movie is they kind of just get a bunch of oddball mix match group of villains, and they're not even like big villains. Probably the three biggest villains probably among this whole like group is probably Talia, Mad Hatter, and Firefly. Everybody else is kind of like just those unknown villains, and people who don't even read the comics probably won't even know those three villains.
Because then the other things they just have, which this is kind of an interesting one. I was kind of watching them, like I don't think this will probably happen, but just from what reading Batman Incorporated, you're like, will that Damian like man clone thing, clone brother, whatever you want to call
Heretic, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like, is he gonna fucking kill Damian in this one? I didn't think so for those movies yet. I could see that if they kept that character around longer, I could see that maybe happening in like the fifth one of these, but
A different variation of him or happens different. Well, they kind of changed Heretic because he looks a lot more like in the I mean, there's different versions of him. One version looks kind of like Robot Batman. Another version looks kind of like a Tusken Raider or something like that.
and then sometimes he looks kind of like almost like Bane's son or something like that.
Yeah. Like I think they took different variations of like because there's another character there's a different character in like Son of Batman. That this is almost who I thought Heretic was at first, but there was like he basically looks like Bane. He wears a bat mask. And he's like a crooked cop, and I think he came across Bane's serum. It's been some time since I read the book. And he was doing kind of whatever he wanted, but he was being protected by cops since he was a cop. And he was basically paid off by whores. He'd, rape them and then fucking kill them brutally. Very, a real 66 nod. So, everyone remembers that episode of the Adam West Show. But anyway, so he then Batman goes after him, and that's all part of this big grand scheme to kind of build up to get to Batman because like that right there that led up to a story that caused Batman's disappearance, which was like the Black Glove. I think that was the name of the group, the Black Glove. And then after that happened, they're like, oh well, shit, we got to like Robin and Damian and Nightwing both step in. Like, well, we got to step in for Batman and be Batman and Robin. And I think they just kind of skimmed all that stuff and just cut to the chase for that. And I get that. I actually kind of like that. What they do is, I mean, occasionally there are those stories where you almost want beat for beat as much as possible, like Dark Knight Returns. But then you get ones where you don't mind them playing with it and changing it around, just more taking different concepts because you've already read it. You're already seen it. It'd be cool to see them taking elements, but then still surprising you with something else.
Yeah, because unless that's like a total classic book, like Dark Knight Returns or something like that. I think that's just better when they just take about 3, 4, 5 different elements and just kind of jam them into one movie, and then you kind of got something brand new because of that.
Yeah, and they actually got like a really weird mixed match group of villains. I mean, I don't like all of them, but I think it works for what it is. They had Hellhounds, which I'll be honest, I didn't know who he was until I looked him up on Wikipedia after watching the movie. They had the Calculator, which fuck him, but they need the smart guy.
It becomes a cool scene in the movie.
Yeah, his death is cool. Alfred kills him, so
yeah,
can't complain about that.
Give a flying fuck.
You had the Mad Hatter. You had Killer Moth. You had
that's right.
Firefly. You had
Is that one
Heretic.
Orchid?
Heretic? What? Then they had Onyx.
Or Onyx, that's right, yeah.
Well, here's the thing about Onyx. Last time I checked, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe she started off bad and became good, but last time I checked, she was a good guy. Onyx was part of Batman. Like there's Batman War Games, which was Black Mask took control of the city through like this war scenario Batman came up with, basically, and it was one of those big crossover events, so it focused on different like, there'll be the Batman story, there'll be Detective Comics, there'll be Robin, there'll be Batgirl, there'll be, you know what I mean? And there's one called Knights of Gotham, which is just all these random oddball characters. And Onyx was one of them. So in this, she's a bad guy, so maybe she started off as a bad guy, but then, like, died before she had a chance to become a good guy. But yeah, who knows? Maybe she'll be back. It cuts, a spaceship goes down and crashes and explodes. In superhero movies, she could very well be alive.
And technically, I guess you could almost say that there's like a turning point for her in that one, because at the very end, that's sort of how it ends. Like the whole twist of the end of the movie involves her coming back anyways, so. Or not coming back, but showing up, taking out the main villain, Talia. Might as well just say it already. And that's maybe that's the redeeming point where it changes over. Because that's a character I don't know a whole lot about.
She was kind of like, well, it's one of those things. I mean, from what I read in War Games, she was basically just this badass ninja chick. She was bald, and that's that's all I really remember about her. And she was tough. And that's all I don't think she had a speaking role in this. And when I was watching this, like, who is that? I'm like, oh, that's Onyx. Okay, but I can see them doing a thing where they well, this one it wasn't that much of a redeeming factor because I watched it again today. She was loyal to Heretic. She wasn't loyal to the League. She was loyal to Heretic. So once
Yeah.
Talia kills Heretic, she's like, "Oh fuck this bitch,"
Yeah, which that was part two. Is like, oh fuck, I was like, he's dead already. Oh, okay, I guess that's that part for him.
He's a clone. They can make another.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like in Batman Incorporated. There's just like that room that's just got all like the Damians in it, just all sitting there.
And they acknowledge that, so they could still come back around in like later films with another heretic or combine two other characters. Like, oh, so it's still sort of a clone of Damien, or they could like they have that whole storyline of like the what if Damien in the future became Batman. So you got this post-apocalyptic Gotham, Damien's kind of like
Got the trench coat thing on.
Trench coat thing, yeah. And then they could I wouldn't surprise me the least bit. And they kind of made somewhat of a nod of that to Batman versus Robin, but it wouldn't surprise me the least bit if they did something to the effect of like making that version of Damien the villain in one of the later movies, but then it's not really Damien, it's one of the clones of him sped up, just a way to make a nod to that.
Yeah, that'd be kind of an interesting way to go about it. It'd be even kind of cool if they even did just have a futuristic Damien one where it is like that story. Like,
I'd be down for seeing that. I never read it. I mean, there's the one single issue in the back of The Son of Batman, but I know they have a continual series that was going on for a little while. Or
yeah.
Miniseries.
But well then yeah, it's cool to see Batwing in there too because one, he's never been in anything animated at all, and I don't think he's had a whole lot. Was his first original issues on his own series when the New 52 started out? Or did he have stuff before that? I know he was in stuff before that, but...
He had the Dennis O'Neil series you were telling me about.
Batwing did?
Oh, Batwing. I think you said Nightwing.
Oh, yeah. No, Nightwing did, and Azrael did, but not... I don't think Batwing ever had...
I think he was a member of Batman Incorporated, and then once we got to the 52 stuff, he got his own book.
I think so, because I want to say he's a pretty darn new character. That's... Compared to everybody else on there, I think he's only been around for 6 years or something like that, if that maybe a little bit longer, but...
Which I noticed for characters not so sure about, they'll be like, let's just Iron Man that shit, So for Batwing, like, okay, so he's Iron Man, but Batman version. And like for even though it's a cool show, I finally saw it. The Atom. Atom is basically Iron Man. That's what they made Atom. He's Iron Man, but he shrinks.
Yeah, exactly. They just kind of go with that because in the comics you would never get that whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, oh, he's just got like a jumpsuit on and a belt and whatever, and good to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like what they make him. It works though. It's just different. And since that's Lucius Fox's kid, it's like that totally just goes. That makes totally sense. Like why not? That's the perfect way to have it.
Yeah, they made him a pretty cool character. I don't really know a lot about him. He'd pop in the comics here and there. I never read a solo book by him, but I like what I saw. And he was really good in this movie. He was definitely a great addition to it. I kind of like the one thing about Batwoman. I got a little confused here because that was Katie Kane, but then there is. Or Catherine Kane, Katie Kane, whatever. But before they get into the DC, the New 52, the second Batgirl was Cassandra Kane, and that was she was raised by the League of Assassins. Her father, I'm not sure if that was the same father, but maybe there's more than one Kane.
No, that's the girl that has the Batwoman costume on that has the full face mask.
Yeah, she's that one. And she was before 52. She wasn't She didn't become Batgirl in the current 52. She's something else. I don't know what she's at or what she's doing. But she was like I think she was Japanese. She was a Japanese Batgirl. Had a full mask suit, full face suit, and then
and she came around. I think in No Man's Land is when she originally appeared.
Was it No Man's Land when she first appeared?
I don't know if that's when she totally first appeared, but that's the one where. In that book, nobody knows who the hell she is at first, and then Batman's like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like, oh, it's like, I was taking over since you were gone. Oh, and then Barbara's like, "What the fuck is this lady running around out there dressed like me?"
Okay,
like, I don't know. Fuck.
So basically, like she was she was raised by the League, and she had her own little mini series for a little while, and I know that
she's kind of like a race by this point.
I think she is kind of a race because now you got Batwoman, but I thought her father was. was an assassin from the League of Shadows, or League of whatever you want to call it, League of Shadows, League of Assassins by this point, whatever. Her father was one of them, and his last name was Kane. There might be more than one character named Kane, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they changed it for the movie a little bit.
Well, yeah, because I just know that was one of those characters that was used in like the '60s and then just never really appeared past that point. And then now they've just kind of been bringing Batwoman back a lot. Like, you just see her all over the place. She's on posters, she's got her own series, and so on. So it only seemed right, I guess, to finally start throwing her back in there. And now they're kind of using her. It's like, well, it's an old character, but now she's like the modern thing. So now she's a lesbian. Because I remember, like, in the Bombshell ones, it was like, oh, and Batgirl's just a lesbian. She's playing baseball and fucking chicks on the side, and fighting crime. You're like, oh, okay, sure. Well, I guess I didn't know that, but okay, yeah, I guess new things go.
I think they're trying to make a major statement with the character because she was by every means like a cliche when she came out. She was like, well, I just love Batman. I'm doing everything I can for the Batman. Let me reach my bat purse, get out my little bat stylized.
That's not the same one. That's
Batwoman. But that's a different one.
That's not the Cassandra Cain one. That's the one that came beforehand that didn't really have any
impact on the series. Yeah, that was like, I think they're trying to make a statement, even though that's not the same character. Like, all right, well, let's make a different Batwoman. So it's kind of like she is complete opposite to that Batwoman. So what's this one? She's really smart. She's a lawyer. She's a lesbian, and she's really like, she doesn't really follow the usual ways the other Bat family does. You know what I mean? She uses a gun. So I'm not sure if she still uses a gun in the comics and all that. But yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird because she has that line where she's like, I don't need anybody helping me, not even Batman. It's just kind of like, why the fuck are you dressed like me then? Clearly you need some help.
That's the one line I was a little bit kind of like, because I can understand trying to do things your own and still trying to be kind of like homage Batman.
But clearly you're not doing things your own when you dress identical to him. It's just like one of those ones like, it's just like, I think it should have just been a little bit different. It should have been like that night that Batman saved me. That's when I knew that there's a way to stand up to this. Like, and it shouldn't been, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to do something where it's like, she's woman empowerment. But sometimes it's just like, well, that would work fine if she had her own costume. But since she's pretty much just copying somebody else or copying multiple other characters, might as well just have her embrace it,
My thing, and she embraces it by the end. I think my thing is, which I think they were trying to do, is the logic behind it is, all right, well, she maybe not agree with everything Batman does, but she dresses like a bat to get across to the enemies. Yeah, I'm not your friend,
Yeah, it's sort of almost like she steals in a sense.
She's kind of getting across.
That's what she's doing. She's not really homaging it because for some reason she doesn't really like them. But she sort of it's a weird one. It's like that's about the only part of the movie. It's kind of like they could have probably ironed that out a little bit better. I mean, obviously it's really just a couple lines that say that, but
and she's fine the rest of the movie. There's like one or two lines like, just because I wear this doesn't mean I'm part of your little cult. And that line was like, okay, why the fuck are you wearing a bat symbol? But beyond that, though...
That's like somebody putting on like a Nazi uniform. It's like, just because I wear this doesn't mean I have to be part of you guys. Like, you know what? Fuck, I'm doing it myself, man. I'm fucking like, you know what? Fuck you guys. You know what? I'm not gonna kill Jews. I'm gonna kill somebody. I'm gonna kill Irishmen. Fuck you guys. I've got my own thing going on. And you're like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, why does he think he's so cool? He's like, I'm not like you guys at all. I'm so different.
And I like the character. I like what I've seen of her in other comics, and I like, for the most part, she's fine in this movie. But just those few lines, it's one of those things like, oh, that could have been ironed out or written a little better. But yeah, it was one of those things.
I'm not goose stepping here. I'm like duck stepping. It's my own thing. Looks the same as goose stepping. You're right. You guys are copying me.
You know what I'm doing. It's kind of like it had like fucking, what was it, like how Superboy in the 90s. It's like, I'm not Superboy. I'm the Metropolis Kid. I'm my own man. Like, okay, then why do you... Fuck you! I wear a black leather jacket too. You see Superman wearing a black leather jacket when he's like Clark Kent, yeah. Like,
yeah. Sometimes I just feel like every once in a while they just write characters that are trying to be like their own unique thing, but I just don't feel like they did it right. It's just like have them be their own character if they want to be so rebellious. Don't have them be like totally like ripping off somebody, but then being rebellious. It just doesn't really seem to work so well.
I'm fine with her being like Batwoman and having her. I'm fine with the Batwoman and all the way the stylistic way they made her look and all that. And even
I like all that stuff. It's just that attitude.
Just the few lines she has, but she kind of brushes that all to the side by like it doesn't take long at all to brush that stuff to the side. And even when she said those lines, I wasn't even kind of like, fuck this character. I'm like, oh, that could have been written better. Because there's already enough in there that I liked about the character. But when she said those lines, I was like, that's kind of dumb, but it's nothing that's going to ruin the movie for me.
Yeah, and then somehow she knew Dick. I can't remember. How'd she know Dick again in that movie?
They were childhood friends. Like her father, like was I think her mother was a scientist or something, and her father was in the military, and they would always go to the same like banquets and all that kind of stuff, or like fundraisers, and Dick would
That's
always
right.
see her there, and he'd always hit on her, and then not realize, oh wait,
She's a lesbian.
yeah.
She's a cat. She's a cart muncher. Boy, Bruce, boy, I gotta take you aside here. There's something you don't know. It's like just because it is a woman doesn't mean it's actually a woman. It's just like 10-year-old Robin looking. I'm like, what's that mean? It's like you'll know someday.
Watch this episode of Cow. Watch this episode of Cow and Chicken, the Buffalo Gals. Do you remember that episode?
I do.
I was like one of those things that I saw when I was a kid, and I didn't really click in my head right away. But then later, I kind of looked at this thing that really analyzed that. I'm like, oh my fucking god, I can't believe I didn't recognize that. And they literally had like all these stereotypical like PE teacher-esque woman, like, yeah, we're the Buffalo Gals. They're all wearing like buffalo heads and motorcycles. Like, what do? We just break into people's house, start munching on the carpets, like literally break into Cow Chicken's house and start walking around just eating the carpet off the ground. The Buffalo Gals strike again. They hop on the motorcycles. Like, how the fuck did they get away with this shit?
That's literally a time period where you have somebody who's so old that they're like, oh, that's kind of funny, but they do not get what the meaning behind it is, so they allow it to go. It's weird. I don't get it, but kids must like it.
I thought, I mean, I was laughing just because of the obscure thing, like, okay, girls break into your house and eat carpet. Okay, whatever, you know.
And then you just start munching. Dad, look, I'm a carpet muncher. Okay, I need a beer.
I don't got time to explain this. Where's the beer? No, we're out. Of course we're out. Okay.
I gotta go to the store and get beer. There's beer in the fridge. No, there's not.
You fix this. I did it last time. I'm tired of these conversations with them.
I don't want him watching the Cartoon Network anymore.
Why does Dad say that every time I'm done watching a show on Cartoon Network, Mom? Just don't worry about it. Just go watch Dexter's Lab. Okay.
But no, it's kind of fun. It's cool that they get like all that stuff in there and so on. And as I said, yeah, the Batwoman character, other than those couple lines, totally fine as it goes on. And then I kind of like how it sort of sets up for, there's that next one coming out in a couple of months or whenever it does. The new Justice League, where it's like Justice League versus the Teen Titans, which that sounds like a cool concept anyways.
I will say that it's almost one of those things, and don't take it as me like shitting on these movies, because like you, I look forward to these movies a lot. I will say that there was a time where it felt more like, oh, it's like just the animated movie. Now, I will say with the consistency of them coming out, they feel more of just kind of like long episodes to this point. No, actually, some of them feel like long episodes. Like I'll say the Justice League War one and the Throne of Atlantis one felt kind of like long episodes. Batman versus Robin didn't. That felt more like a movie to me. This one felt like a long episode, but it still was really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think it's because they're continual. Because the second you start doing them continual, they stop. I will say, the downfall of them being sort of continual, it takes away from them being like one solid movie. Mm-hmm. No matter what, you won't have that Dark Knight Returns, like how like grand of a movie that is. It's like you get this fucking 2.5 hour long animated feature, one big story. That's pretty sweet. Even ones like Flashpoint. That's another really sweet one where you just get this one powerful story. Boom. These other ones, don't get me wrong, I think they're all pretty darn good, But it does, yeah. Once you start doing it, it just feels like once you're done with this and you got 12 of them, it's kind of like there's your fucking big ass season or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I think I still look forward to these. I mean, I will be honest, I'm not really like so excited for the Teen Titans one. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna get it day one, no doubt. But it's
kind of cool that they're doing sort of like it's like a Raven movie, what it looks like more than anything else. And that's what I mean. It's kind of neat. Each one just you had your Cyborg movie, you had your Flash one, of course you had your Wonder Woman one back in the day, and so on. feel like you're never gonna get that anytime soon again. But
The Wonder Woman,
that was like
the animated.
well, that was like the last time that they really tried. Well, like the Wonder Woman and the Green Lantern were like the two last ones they did, where it's like, let's just do a full on. It's just a straight up Green Lantern movie, or it's just a straight up Wonder Woman movie. And now it's kind of like, okay, well, we're gonna do a Cyborg movie, but everybody else has to be there to support him. Cyborg can't sell it on his own, nor can Barry, nor can Raven.
Which, I mean, part of me kind of understands, but I mean, one of the things about it is, and once again, don't take this as me like shitting on these films, because I like this is like you said, one of the main things I usually look forward to each year is they have I think they're kind of like something that people shit on a lot, and I understand why, is like the straight to DVD like Disney movies. You know what I mean? Because those have a record of being bad, but I think they have an audience. So they
Some
know
of them
for
are good, like fucking Aladdin 3 is great.
there are some good ones, but it's one of those things. I think there
Where he
is
finds
that
his father and everything, and
finds his dad, and they get the golden hand that just turns everything gold and all that shit.
yeah, the Midas touch.
It's on the back of a floating turtle, or
Yeah.
yeah. But
But I will say that, like, because I watched like Return of Jafar maybe like a year and a half ago again. That one of those movies, that was a big fucking moment for me when I was a kid when that Return of Jafar. I remember getting it day one on VHS. I'm like, I'm so fucking excited. And I really liked it a lot, but I went back and watched that one, and that one is kind of like, okay, I see the straight to video. Like, it's just okay. You know, it's not bad, but it's not really that great. You know, I mean, the guy who plays Robin Williams in it, like, he does a pretty good job of being close to Robin Williams. You know, I'm not gonna, but you know, some of the songs, like they got Yago singing fucking like 3 songs, which is like, let alone he shouldn't be singing 1 because it's just fucking annoying. He's got 3, but then I feel like by the time they get Aladdin, Prince of Thieves, like that one's a pretty strong movie. That movie almost could have went to theaters.
I feel that way, but I mean, well, actually, I haven't seen one in a long time. But I think there are the ones where I think they're just like, you know what? It's going to be so huge, we're just going to skip the pandemonium. It's going to be anarchy at those movie theaters. So guess what? Aladdin 2 straight to video, you know?
But I know that a lot of the other Disney ones, like, I will say this, I don't think I've ever heard anybody go, man, you gotta fucking see Little Mermaid 3. It's the fucking shit. You know? I'm not saying that one of those ones could
Dumbo 2 will rock your tits, dude.
Yeah, but everybody who's always watched the sequel ones is always kind of saying, you know, Pocahontas 2, I know that there is that second part of the story, but it's okay, you know. This one too, it's just, you know, whatever.
Like, I'm trying to think of them. Other than the Aladdin ones are extremely goofy movie, I don't think I've seen any of them. I don't think I've seen any of the other ones, but they do have this, not even just the animated movies, but just like their live action shit. They have this is going to come back around to DC in a second. They already have a built-in audience. They already know they got kids that are just going to like anything that represents kind of like, oh, that's Frozen, or oh, that's Mickey Mouse, or whatever.
I think they don't throw love into them like these DC ones get.
There's that, but I was also going to say, though, I think it's something, and not to like bring it down to like DC fans, because we're DC fans, but I think it's like, well, we already know, well, fans of the comics already look forward to these. So we already have a fan. They're not even trying to reach out for kids. If they can grab a few kids, that sounds wrong, but if they can
grab some kids, like, throw them in their van, force them to watch it.
Yeah. No, if they could you know, get a few kids on the bandwagon, cool. But I think they're more definitely going for like fans of the comic books. I think they know people who are fans of the comics watch these things.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about it, and I think that's why it's kind of like they got this set thing. Well, as long as we come out with these, we'll make our money back. And you know, the safe characters are Batman's always a safe character. Superman is kind of safe most of the time, and then I think that they're just like. Because I think that it's one of those things, they're more likely, I think they're banking on, okay, the comic book fans, they're going to get these no matter what. But if you get like, if a kid sees Batman, his parents might get it for him. If a kid sees Cyborg only or Wonder Woman only, they might not care as much, you know?
Because I think that Wonder Woman one didn't do so.
That's a good one,
and
too.
it's one of the best ones, too. But I almost for some reason, I remember people just kind of going like, oh yeah, they made a Wonder Woman one, fucking sucked. And then I remember seeing it, I was like, dude, this is one of the best ones they did. Like, what do you guys... I think it's just that mentality that it's just straight Wonder Woman, I don't care. And same with the Green Lantern ones. Both the Green Lantern ones, fucking amazing ones. But I think it's just the fact that, you know, it's not... doesn't got Batman in it, doesn't got it in there. So now it's like, I mean, I don't blame them. They're playing it sort of safe. It's like, we'll release, you know, 3 movies a year. Every single one of them will have Batman in it. That's we know it will sell. That's what you do. Because when was the last time they did one without Batman? It's been a couple of years.
I think Brainiac, the Brainiac Superman
that's
phone.
perfect example. That's one of the ones that's kind of like it's kind of an okay one, you know. I think, bro.
Well, it was usually like Batman or Superman or Justice League, and then they'd had one random every once in a while. Okay, Green Lantern or Wonder Woman. Oh, that didn't work out, you know. So I think it's just always been the three.
We're going to take a quick break, but now a word from our buddies at Painted Black Comics.
Yeah, there's Lou. We are Painted Black Podcast. We are Painted Black Comics.
If you could describe the show, what would you describe it?
Horribly offensive.
Balls to the walls.
A good time.
I don't know. Unprofessional? I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Barney heard some screaming from next door.
Right. Hey, yo, Fred, I got kicked out of the house. Can I stay with you guys for a little bit?
No, Barney. We're not friends like that. You better go stay with the zoo.
Dum-dum, you should have said yes to your wife.
Can you imagine what Disney World would have been like had he lived longer? No Jews. That's the primary difference.
I feel like he funded the Nazis in some way. I can't prove it.
The first fucking model of their helmet had ears on it.
Oh, the Basketeers coming over the hill. What the fuck's going on?
Dosan sounds like a Renaissance painter.
He was a fifth Ninja Turtle. He wasn't right in the head. They didn't really bring him out too much. I'd like to fight the foot.
That's probably why they had all the stupid ass toppings.
Bubble gum.
Fuck, who let those Sans order the pizza?
I want stink bug.
Who put Legos on this shit? Can I give you money for sex?
I would enjoy making a transaction for a blowjob.
Can I get a receipt with that pussy?
Oh, yeah. How do I follow this?
Do you wash those briefs with starch?
Make that booty clap. Why don't you?
Let's hear Randy Newman doing the song for Pompeii.
Oh, he's on the spot.
Whoa, did smoke. Volcano. Whoa, it's the smoke. Vesuvius.
I'll say kind of their three safe bets they always had were kind of like Superman, Batman, Justice League. Now I think it's just that they condensed it down to Batman, Justice League. You know, it sort of feels that way at least.
Yeah, it literally is. It's like Superman sort of got minused out. And I don't know if it had something to do with kind of like, for some reason, because everybody was bitching about Man of Steel, so it kind of, the Superman play card wasn't there nearly as strong as it once was.
Well, if we go to Man of Steel for a second there, the thing that we're always going to be talking about, you know, defending that movie. But
Man of Steel and Dark Knight,
Rises.
Dark Knight Strikes Again, but
Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. I feel like we'll be fucking 90 years old going, the Dark Knight Rises, if they just didn't have the double rise. I mean, that's all I'm fucking saying. It's just what it does. And that's how he died, stressed out once again because of the fucking double rise in Dark Knight Rises.
Just two old fucks in like their hover chairs in like a retirement home, and just like the fucking nurses
Still
go by like
podcasting.
These old fucks for the last 40 years have been talking about Dark Knight Rises and Man of Steel. They may talk about the new Scott Snyder book that comes out. They may talk about the new Bruce Springsteen album or reminisce on the Smashing Pumpkins or Clint Eastwood or something. But it always fucking comes back to Dark Knight Rises and Man of Steel.
But I think it's always how it's going to be. We're always going to complain about the double rise in Dark Knight Rises. And there's always going to be like the defending Man of Steel.
Well, I will say this, though. I mean, I'm not sure the Man of Steel. I'm not going to say it's going to be like Dick Donner Superman. But I honestly think that it's a lot more... I mean, people like it more than what the internet was letting on. I mean, you hear people like shitting and on that movie all the time for a while. But I've been seeing... I was kind of surprised. Now, maybe it's just like an irony kind of... maybe not an irony. Maybe it's just kind of like one of those things how people wear Superman shirts. You'd see... a lot of times you just see people wearing... a Superman shirt, not even a fan of Superman, just a Superman shirt. I've seen a lot of people specifically wearing the Man of Steel Superman shirt. So, over recent years, and it could just be, oh, Superman, I'll just put this on. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that you can tell the difference between the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it might be having just that slight comeback where, well, it's kind of like that. Mostly always happens. you know, whatever like the reaction is to a movie, about 5 years later, it almost has the exact opposite reaction. Because perfect example is there's a lot of people now that fucking shit on like The Dark Knight, which I don't know why you should ever do that. Of course, yes, I will say in hindsight, once I think you start seeing all this other Batman stuff come out, like that trilogy is going to look very safe, you know. But it's the sort of, I mean, it's the same thing that kind of happened with the Tim Burton ones too. People loved the hell out of them when they came out. Later on, they just started hating on them, and then now it's kind of almost come full circle to this point where people are going, okay, the Tim Burton ones, you know, they're classic. You know, it's kind of the way they treat the '66 one, because there was a time period where the '66 one was shit on, and now it's looked upon like, oh no, that was a time period, that's a classic. You know, you fucking respect your elders, goddammit, like one of those sort of things. And I almost feel that's sort of how it is now with the Tim Burton ones. People are starting to get more respect towards them. Which I had this idea the other day because I was just hearing things about like, oh, you know, if they did an older Batman, what if they had George Clooney, or what if they had Mel Gibson, or all this stuff. I'm like, dude, you know what'd be actually pretty badass? Is what if they had, if you ever did like a kind of like a Dark Knight, you don't have to do the same story, but if you had an older Batman Dark Knight Returns style story, what if you just had Michael Keaton back in the role again? Buffed him up a bit now, because nowadays, you know, it seems like you can get anybody buff, you know, just fucking have Stallone show up and like get him fucking whipped into this expendable shape, and next thing you know. But just think about, like, I'm like, dude, that'd be kind of badass to see Michael Keaton back in the role, because you look at him nowadays, he almost looks more Bruce Wayne than he did back in the day of the Jew, kind of like Jew-fro thing going on.
Well, here's the thing about Michael Keaton. I mean, he doesn't look like it's more than, I mean, don't take this as me like shit. I've been saying that a lot this episode.
Yeah, you said it like 5 times. It's like you do catchphase. Don't take it as me
Don't
shitting.
take it as me shitting. You know, if we had like a T-shirt of just a bunch of
just
like,
you fucking like shitting on something.
giving
like a
thumbs
little
up,
animated character,
smiling,
thumbs up. Kind of almost like a Calvin thing, like where he's peeing on something.
Okay. Do not take. I can't think of another fuck. I can't think of another collection of like verbs.
Here, just say like, do not take it as me pissing on it like Calvin.
Okay, yeah, there we go. It's one of those things where I don't really see. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think Michael Keaton was the best choice for Batman. I still don't think. I mean, I think he's a good Batman. I don't think he's a great Bruce Wayne. And not saying he's horrible, because that movie is a big stepping stone. It is a good movie. It's still, there was a period, I'm not going to lie, I saw it when I was a kid, and I just liked it. It was like, yay, Batman. And then when I got older, I was kind of like, well, Batman doesn't kill, and Batman doesn't do this, and Jack Nicholson was just kind of playing Jack Nicholson. And then, you know, time as it went on later, I just went, you know, let me take all that out of the equation and just watch the movie. And really,
it's an amazing movie when you just
a really good
open
movie.
Mind. Oh, it's so good.
It is a really good movie. It's not perfect, but it's a really good movie still. And, you know, it's not really what comes to mind when I think Batman, but almost for the sake of nostalgia and for the sake of, you know, just kind of like, oh, why not? If they did want to do kind of like an old timer, I mean, I'll be honest. I really think, and maybe, you know, people can use this against me, the sound clip of this against me when it happens, or if I'm wrong. I honestly think Ben Affleck might be the best Batman, because everything I've seen in those trailers. I mean, I know every shot of him, he's grimacing and just looking intense, just like in a lot of parts in the trailer, but I think they're taking it out of context. But whenever I hear him talk or see him doing Batman shit, I'm like, that looks like fucking Batman. I kind of forget I'm watching Affleck for a minute. So I think he might, we'll find out, other than Kevin Conroy, I think he might be the best live-action Batman. So,
well, I'll totally agree with you there, because here's the thing about all the other guys. I respect every single person that ever played Batman. I think they all have their different kind of qualities, but I don't think there was a single actor that had Batman 100%. You know, Michael Keaton, he looked great in The Mask because he had the perfect eyebrows. He had just a great look. He talked well. But, you know, Bruce Wayne kind of looked a little, just not totally Bruce Wayne. But I still like him a lot. You know,
even as a kid,
Val Kilmer, you know, maybe, you know, not the first person to come to mind is Jim Morrison playing Batman, but he had his own thing going on with it.
He was a little confused. He looked a little confused a lot of time.
But, you know, I feel like he really kind of came off.
He's Val Kilmer, yes.
Yeah, he's Val Kilmer, you know. And then George Clooney, I thought George Clooney did a really good job, you know. I think that if he ever came back and did it again, I think he could do a superior job. I think he would be so good. And then Christian Bale, here's the thing. I think Christian Bale's good. He just always felt a little bit small as Batman. Ben Affleck has the chin, has the build, has the look, and I just think that he likes comic books more than any of these other guys do that have ever played him before. So he's going to have that in there. And plus, I fucking loved him as Daredevil. That's actually, I really like that movie a lot. I know people always want to crap on that movie. Everywhere I go, I always go, I fucking love Ben Affleck as Daredevil. And they're like, I fucking hate that movie. I'm like, yeah, well, fuck you.
That's almost
It's one of my favorite
like
Marvel movies. I'm going to say that.
that's almost you kind of like walking into the saloon and just kind of like spitting on the big, like, there's the big, like, you know, like hangman and the big, like, shooter in town. Just like, you know what I think? I think Ben Affleck's a good goddamn Daredevil. Meet me outside.
I'll fucking say it. I think Daredevil's in my top 5 Marvel movies. You know what? What? Push somebody over. Fucking draw 2 6-shooters. So it's like, to me, it's just like, I'm already sold. Like, you know, look at him fucking doing pull-ups and, what's the one where the Irish one where they're robbing? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Oh, the town.
The town, like he's so like he's
Look
got
at him doing pull-ups.
He's got like
Batman pull-up.
Literally, I could put together like 3 pictures of Ben Affleck, and I could prove to you why he'd be such a fantastic Batman. That's one of them. They're him doing pull-ups in the town. Just put his jawline with a close-up from Daredevil, and then just get a picture of him in a suit from, I don't know, some other movies wearing a suit, and there you go. Like, how is that not the perfect Batman? Because I think here's the thing: he looks great as Bruce Wayne, and he'll look perfect in the suit. It's just a perfect match.
There's that part in the trailer. He's not even wearing the Batman suit, but it's one of the most Batman things possible. Everybody is running away from like this big cloud of smoke, looking like something straight out of 9/11. He's the one guy running straight into the smoke. Most he does is slightly turn his head to the left.
Yeah, just to block a couple specks of dust.
That is the most Batman thing I think I've seen on screen without even wearing a Batman suit, you know?
Exactly. So, I mean, like, as far as Batman goes, I'm totally sold with him being it. Like, why would that not be the perfect one? But if they ever do decide to change it to anybody else, it would be cool just to see, or like, here's one would be kind of cool. Like, in the next 10 years or so, you're going to do, well, maybe Michael Keaton's got a little bit older, but let's say you want to do a Batman Beyond movie. How cool would Michael Keaton might be a cool, when he's 70 years old, would be a cool Bruce Wayne. Why not?
They were going to do a Batman Beyond movie, and it wasn't going to be as high tech as the original show, but I think they're getting the guy who directed Remember the Titans to direct the movie. But I think that I'm still curious to know what that movie would have been. I think if you were to do it now, I think one thing would be like, well, we got to get characters people know, and a lot of people don't really remember all the miscellaneous random characters from the TV show. So I think a good thing to do if you were going to do that, or do like maybe if one, I think
it's like a Return of the Joker type thing.
Do something kind of like that. Like, I think this would be kind of cool. Maybe it's just me, but I mean, I know I myself am not a fan of the Joel Schumacher ones, but it just make it kind of like either a parallel universe or somewhat a continuation from the Tim Burton Schumacher ones. Make it years later. And, you know, I mean, no offense. I'm not saying totally deny the existence of the first 3. Not the first 3, of the last 2. But, you know, don't deny their existence or anything, but just kind of go with a different tone. And then, you know, each villain, it's like, okay, so this one has 2 villains. It has like an old version of a classic villain we all know.
And then you can have some Batman Beyond characters.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think, you know, so one, you get Joker, and then you know, maybe almost kind of remake the Return of the Joker in a sense.
Yeah,
Joker,
you can go different
and then
beats, but
yeah, not the exact same story. Joker, and then some miscellaneous, like there's the guy with the eyeball, you know, or there's the guy who like makes sound waves. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you could do something, or like Ink, who's basically Clayface. So I think you could probably take, you know, okay, so this one, it's kind of like the son of Two-Face or son of the Penguin, and then throw in like some character we don't that's from the TV show. No, that's me. I don't know if that's going to happen. If that does happen, I see it being like a one movie kind of like. I think we aren't that far away from making. Here's a parallel universe movie. I don't think we're that far away from this point, unless superhero films crash between here and there. But I think we'll get there eventually.
Exactly. Well, really quickly going back to where we kind of left off with the Teen Titans versus the Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that's kind of interesting about it is I like the kind of mismatch. They got some new things going on with it. It's not just your same old Teen Titans like you see on TV or in the comics. I like how it's like, okay, it's got Damian for the very first time. He's going to take over the Tim Drake, Dick Grayson role. But then it's kind of interesting that Starfire, okay, she's older, and it's almost like she's like the teacher or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a neat little thing to go about it. And then you got Raven, Beast Boy, who's never going to fucking age and is always going to seem like the gay. I think Beast Boy's supposed to be full-on gay. I'm just waiting until they get to the point where Beast Boy is just... extremely gay, and they just say he's make him loud and proud, because in the fucking Teen Titans TV show and any of the books, he always just seems like he's got so much of these gay qualities just exposed that he's hiding it because he's a fucking teenager. And somehow, some way, he just doesn't want to say it. But I think that's just, they just got to get that across. If they got Batwoman like fucking like out there just eating pussy and punching people, like they got to get Beast Boy fucking like sucking dick in like the bathroom shit.
Batwoman eating people, eating pussy and punching people. Like get fucking Beast Boy, just make it like this real harsh like indie drama. Like I can transform into anything, but I can't can transform out of this.
It's just like some guys got him like fucking chained up in like fucking like a nudie booth. Like
I was going IFC. You took it to full on snuff film.
That's not a snuff film. It's like that. It's part of the IFC thing. It's just like he gets captured and he's used as some sexual animal object thing. We got the Wonder Twins in the next room over.
I just fuck.
Just be like, it's like the Teen Titans are trying to find out where Beast Boy is.
This is why they'll never let us write DC.
I'll be like, oh my god. One, Beast Boy is not gay. We need to get that across. But then it's like, stop writing him as he's gay. Even this new one, I was watching the trailer to it. It's like, God, Beast Boy's so fucking gay. I don't mean it's like a bad thing, but like he's just always written like that. You're just like, But no, overall, I think that new one looks pretty sweet. And I think it's kind of cool that they're like, hey, we're kids, we're going to fight. It's like, Batman just like, getting his slap fist ready to fucking like, put these children in their place.
He just like walks in, one hand, kind of like ready to bat slide. The other one's kind of like patting it, like, all right, he wants to go. You know what I mean? Like he almost he's holstering it.
And I kind of like, too, because like on the cover they show sort of like, it's weird because they got like the left and right side, like you see if anything else, like fucking Marvel. Yeah, they're uneven, like Marvel vs. Capcom. But it's like, I like how Dick Grayson's actually on like the old people side now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then Cyborg's kind of the one in the middle, kind of like confused. He's like, well, I mean, like, I totally just skipped the Teen Titans, but I still feel like I'm not old enough yet.
I feel like he and Nightwing are probably going like, hey man, they're kids, we got to help them out,
They'll be the in-betweens, like, hey, like we're friends with Starfire, like fuck.
And they're gonna do this thing. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, but
Batman and fucking Clark are gonna be like, they just need some slapping.
I'm sorry, from a different generation. It's where you did something wrong, your parents would slap it out of you. It's just, I know times are different, but we try to be progressive here. But
my father once caught me reading a Flash Gordon comic, and he took me in the back room and beat the shit out of me.
And I'm grateful. He took my eyes out of them funny books and focused on things that really matter. Finances. Then he got shot. Now I'm a superhero and I dress like a bat.
On the ground, he looked at me and said, like, I fucking hate Zorro. I got shot. I fucking knew it.
Just like, they go see the movie. He didn't want to go see the fucking Zorro movie. He's just like,
fuck, Martha wants. He says it's gonna be good for the boy to get some entertainment. The only thing entertainment he should be seeing is the Wall Street Journal. That's the only time he should be having fun.
It's gonna turn him into one of them. Like, next thing you'll be sucking dick at Woodstock.
It'll be like that green boy I saw in the restroom at the IHOP the other day. Why was it the IHOP? Fuck you. I was going there for some pancakes. A rich guy can have pancakes every once in a while, right? I didn't expect to have a glory hole monster in there. Hell, he could have been more than 12 years old.
It don't matter. It don't matter how rich you are. You can't ever be too good for a grand slam. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. There's a little bit of trailer trash in all of us.
But goddamn it, I don't want to take him to Martha. Do we gotta take him to go see this?
It's called the Gay Blade.
What does that tell you?
It's got gay in the title.
Zorro the Gay Blade. It's just, I'm already have to get past the fact that he's Mexican. That's already hard enough to get past. I'm trying to be progressive here, but fuck.
When I saw that little green boy, you know what he called his dick? He called it the Gay Blade.
So I don't like this world, Martha. As soon as we get out of this movie, I'd be fine if somebody just came up and fucking shot me.
That's it. Just fucking it. Daddy, you can't say that. You know what? I just said it. I hope it's somebody I know that shoots me too. Or somebody I don't know. Maybe that'd be even better. I don't have to think about it as I sit there dying, looking you in the eyes, going, why, boy, why?
You did this to me. Is that it happens? Oh, fuck!
Fucking knew it! Oh, he's taking my money, too! Oh, this son of a bitch!
It's your fault, Bruce. It's your fault.
Cuts back to Teen Titans versus Justice League. And Damien, that's why I gotta do this.
Yeah.
Because Talia just never had the balls to do it. Maybe she did. I don't know. Fuck. I was drugged out a lot. I mean, for all I know, she could have been a dude fucking me and taking my sperm. Hell. Just because they look like a woman doesn't mean they're a woman. Remember that, Dick. Remember that. Don't ever forget that.
I never did, Batman. I never did. Okay.
Oh,
Starfield's like, what the fuck's he talking about? Like, don't have the time. We got to stop the demon from destroying the world and get the goth girl away from them. You know, fuck it. But they will. I don't know. I think this is gonna be pretty good. I think they're trying to do something like. I think they're trying to do like a classic even though it's still kind of mixed match, still kind of different. I think they're trying to do a classic interpretation of the Teen Titans. Because even here's the thing. I'll say this: people are all like a lot of like Teen Titans fans from the old TV show. Like, not let me say old TV show back when we were in high school.
The 2000s TV show, I guess you can say.
Yeah, like a lot of people are shitting on that, saying, "Oh, it's fucking, the Teen Titans Go. It's not the same fucking thing. It's not the same fucking thing." It's like the fucking TV show was way different than the actual Teen Titans. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where it's like I think that they're trying to do like a more like classic interpretation. Kind of get in a little bit more of the drama. And I'll say that show, the 2000s one, did do some ballsy things here and there for being the kind of show it was, but I don't know, it always felt really off balance to me because I thought like the anime-ish wacky humor would, because there would be some good genuine moments in that show, like some real sincere honest moments, and then they would bring in the whole thing, let's dress up like Robin and
yeah,
and then
it was literally like some older animes you go back and watch. I mean that show is actually kind of like, it's a big stepping stone show that it might not get, maybe it does get remembered as well, but it was like the first American show to say, hey, you know what? We're going to do this like a full-on anime, but it'll be American, which almost at the time was sort of blasphemy. Mm-hmm. And nowadays we're so used, because everything's sort of like integrated now. It's like almost like, even these DCU movies, like some of them more than others, it's like they have, kind of like an anime influence, but more like the adult, like Cowboy Bebop style anime, not so much like, wacky, not like, I guess you could say like what Teen Titans is.
Well, I will say that, like, what I've seen of Teen Titans Go, because I'd watch with my nephew sometimes, and there are some episodes that are kind of like whatever, but I'll say this: the show is consistent; it stays the same thing. It's entirely the same thing. But I will also say this: there are some episodes I've watched it's kind of like because when I watch shows with my nephews, there's some episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants, so I'd be like, all right, whatever. There are some episodes like, okay, that's actually pretty fucking funny and pretty fucking clever. Teen Titans, the same thing. Or Teen Titans Go, the same thing. There were some episodes where I was just kind of like, it's not that, it's whatever. But then there are some that I was just like, I couldn't help but just fucking laugh my ass off and surprised by how many nods they got in there. More nods than the actual original show. And, the original show, even though we got Robin, and there's still some little nods here and there, it felt like it was trying to hide the fact it was a DC show. Or this one, it's almost trying to like jam-pack a bunch of DC shit in there, but still have this kind of sitcom kind of humor to it. And, a lot of people may like hit dislike or unsubscribe once I say this, but I think that Teen Titans Go show, it's not that bad. There's some episodes that aren't that great, but some of the ones I have seen are actually, they do know their DC lore, and they're pretty funny. They have one that was like, Team Robin, like they're like, oh, we gotta go stop crime, and all the Titans except Robin are like, I don't know, this is fine, I'll call in Team Robin. Then he just starts making these these like weird noises like that, and just zoom in on his face. He's like, like has like like a picture of an ocean going behind him and all that, and like a photorealistic bird just poorly animated turning its head, and then all of a sudden Carrie Kelly, a 1940s version of Dick Grayson. And then, like, I think someone who's supposed to possibly be Tim, because he's like, I think he's like Tim Drake, all bust in, like, we're Team Robin, we're like, this, they all just speak to each other, like, oh, you did good, Robin, oh, you did good too, Robin, they just all have the different, like,
voices,
different voices, and It's it was funny. It wasn't like I don't think I'd go out and buy the DVD, but it was actually here I am defending. I think the show's not that bad, But
Well, I'll say this: like, I've only watched maybe like 5 episodes or so of Teen Titans Go in my life, but every single one of them I've enjoyed. Like, I mean, it's not like one of those ones like I'm gonna go out and buy every single one day one, like Batman Bad Blood or something like that. But I was like one of those ones like, okay, it's a kids show. I mean, like I know that, but I'm actually gonna say it's got creative writing. It's got great nods, like deeper cuts than like even other DC stuff. I mean, they put in some things in there, and the thing I like about it, since it's got since it's a sitcom, pretty much first and foremost, they can do some really kind of funny DC like inside jokes that totally work, and I actually go like, that's cool. It's good to have a show like that. Why not? Like, why should we not have something that's kind of like our fun comedy version of DC that we can have all this fun stuff in? I mean, it almost kind of reminds me, to me, it feels like, it's similar to like Drunk Batman, but just on a kid style, like.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I like it. I'm like, fuck, but this is the person who likes anything DC just about. Like, it takes a lot for me to not like something DC.
You like too much. You're too happy. You're too many things make you happy, Spencer.
So it's like, fuck, the old Teen Titans show, I enjoyed it. I didn't watch it a copious amount. Like, I watched quite a bit of it, I think that the one that was like the perfect balance of like all teen stuff was like Young Justice, because it felt you had enough adultness to it to keep it, like, if you really like Justice League and stuff a lot, but then just enough to like pull in the Teen Titans audience. What I think of that new Teen Titans versus Justice League one, I feel that's kind of a cool way for anybody who sort of grew up watching the Teen Titans show. Because I think, strange enough, this sounds weird, but that Teen Titans show came out just a couple years too late for us. I feel if that show would have came out 2 or 3 years earlier, I might have fucking loved the hell out of that show. But since it came a little bit late, it was one of those ones where I'd watch it when it came on, but I was already moving on to like darker anime stuff that probably nowadays isn't nearly as dark as I once thought it was. But at the time period, it felt way more adult. So I was.
You don't understand. His soul was infused into the armor.
Exactly. Like I was on to like that point. So Teen Titans felt a little bit kiddie to me, but I still watched a little bit here and there. But if that would have came out just only a couple of years earlier, that could have been a different story for me.
Truth be told, actually, just a self-edit there for a second. Full Metal Alchemist, there are some of those dumb, wacky moments, but that show did have some genuinely fucked up, dark moments.
Oh, well, I love Full Metal Alchemist. There's only about 10%, maybe 15% of it that just kind of is like, just minus out just the parts where Al turns fucking, simple animation and yells and stuff like that, and same with
about being short.
Yeah, what's her name? And yeah, I know if you just minus out those little things in there, that show could be like amazing. But I mean, okay, whatever. I'll put up with just that little bit of crap in every other episode or so for how fucking fantastic the story and the characters and the rest of it is. But yeah, but that's what I was just saying about Teen Titans. But I think that this Justice League vs. Teen Titans, it's almost a way to progress that Teen Titans audience and saying, hey, you're kind of getting older now. Here, why don't you start watching some? We should start watching some fucking adult shit.
Fuck up and watch some adult Teen Titans.
Because that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's kind of like it's like a bridge between the Teen Titans younger audience and sort of like the adult, like us, who fucking are like the Batman animated series audience that progressed into these DCU movies. So I think that's kind of cool. And then after that, hopefully we finally get our fucking Killing Joke movie.
They said they are working on the Killing Joke. They've actually. Mark Hamill even said, yep, we're doing a Killing Joke, but it's like a few down the line.
I know, because at first I was like, when I first bought that movie, I'm like, oh, fuck, is that going to have the Killing Joke trailer on? It's like, oh, nope, not yet. I know you can see it on Amazon. You can pre-order it right now, the Killing Joke, so that's got to mean something, right?
We'll probably see like a trailer for it on the Justice League versus Teen Titans.
Well, because I'm assuming that's going to be the movie that's the standalone one this year, so why would it not be? But speaking of other Batman news, I guess before we get towards the end there, you watched the Batman
Ripper?
Yeah, the Ripper. I was about to think about what it was called. I know it's like based on the Gaslights of Gotham comic.
Yeah, I watched it. How is that thing older or is that thing new?
That kind of just came out. Like the guy's been working on it for a year or so. It looked like he had some Kickstarter stuff. I only just heard when I sent it to you. That was like when I just heard about it, but. It's pretty brand new, and it was cool. It was one of those ones, like, it wasn't really an amazing movie, and I'm not really going to say it's not amazing because, like, oh, well, because it was kind of low budget. I'm like, that wasn't fucking low budget either. That was still somebody that had some money, and, I'll say this. The comic that's based on in the 80s, like, I had that one. It's kind of cool. I never thought of it being like kind of like I remember reading going like, huh, this is kind of neat. Well, once later on, like I read some more like on the history of that one because that's kind of the first like Elseworld Batman comic of that time period to really be like, oh, what if Batman was in the 1800s? You know, like, and I guess before that they didn't really have that too often, or they might have had it in some of those weird Batman Superman kind of like specials back in the 60s and whatnot, but in general it's like they never did that. So it's a big stepping stone comic, but when I kind of just read it, it was just kind of like, oh, he fights fucking, Jack the Ripper. I'm like, well, that's different. I didn't see that coming. It's a neat one. It's only like maybe 48 pages or so it's technically like a 2 or 3 issue comic, just a little teeny one. And it's a cool one. If you get the chance, I mean, check it out, read that. And this movie was kind of cool, but the only downfall of this, I'll say, it's 20 minutes long, and Batman's barely kind of in it. They make this kind of cool looking costume, and then you barely get to see it. There's almost no real action in it. They put more of the money in just the atmosphere and the locations and so on like that. So, and I say this because some people go like, well, it's lower budget, so they can't have action. I'm like, I can point out a fucking amazing movie. You remember Andreas from Estonia?
Yeah.
I remember because there was this movie he had. It's not on YouTube anymore, and it's kind of hard to tell what it was anyways because it was all in Estonian. So it had an Estonian title and everything. But he made this like 40-minute long like fucking action movie. I watched the whole thing. No subtitles or anything, but I enjoyed the hell out of it because he put so much goddamn action in it, and he didn't spend like anything extra. It was just, he just shot in his backwoods like we did. I mean, he had the same type of camera that we had that we used to shoot like, drunk Batman and stuff on in the early days, except for his was a PAL one, so of course it always is going to look better because of the frame rate. And he had, car scenes in it, fucking guys fighting, gunfire. He had a really neat shot where a guy was getting strangled in a hot tub and he gets flipped over and the camera goes under the water too because he built this little apparatus. So I look at something like that where somebody in Estonia shoots a movie for whatever it costs for him to buy his computer and his camera and has a copious amount of action in it. And then I kind of see this Batman one where somebody literally put a lot of money in that movie. That movie, I don't know how much it cost, but obviously if you had to add Kickstarter and all this stuff, it cost a bit to get those costumes and everything like that. And around, the acting's fine. There's nothing bad like in it like that. But it's just kind of like, dude, throw some more action. If you're going to make it 20 minutes long, throw some more action. That's all I have to say. Batman punches out like one guy, and then a lot of the other action just cuts to black, and you're like, is that it? Like,
Well, I liked it. I mean, for me, it was one of those things where it, first, I'm not sure if we said, it's called Ripper, but it's a Batman movie. Just it's Batman Ripper, you can see it. I think, like you said, the production value looks good. Everything about it looks cool. I guess you're right. My only big problem is probably the lack of action. And not saying it has to be a full, it's more of a mystery story. But I think if you're going to throw in Batman, you might as well have a little bit more action, just a little bit more in there.
And a little bit more Batman in it, too. That was the only other thing.
It felt more of kind of like, now here's one little thing. I'm not trying to dock it for this because I don't really know historically. It felt like a little bit kind of like a remake to Drag Me to Hell. And be like, well, yeah, because Drag Me to Hell is based off Jack the Ripper.
You mean From Hell?
Oh, yeah, From Hell. But I'm not sure if this is historically accurate or if they just pulled it. The guy in that movie, Johnny Depp, is a opium addict, and that's kind of like he has some weird supernatural power of tracking down the next victim when he would, like mix absinthe and like smoke opium.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that's all bullshit right there, but maybe, I don't know if the real guy actually had an opium problem, but in this movie, they do have a scene. I'm not sure, I don't think he pinpoints him that way, but they do have a scene where he's just like, oh, this is so fucked up. I need to get fucked up. And he goes and smokes some opium. And I'm not sure if that's one of those things where, okay, the real guy did that, or if that's something that's just kind of like a nod to From Hell or something, or it was just so commonplace back in those days they just did it.
I think it was just a common thing back in those days because that was still that time period where people cause in the 1800s, that was when opium was like in its popularity. People didn't realize it was like, oh fuck, that just makes men do nothing and just sit around and hang out and become extraordinarily lazy. So like till that point, I think it was just a common thing just to have those opium bars. It's like in the you look in the U.S. fucking San Francisco back in like the 1800s in the Western times, there was all sorts of those opium bars there and so on.
Spencer teaches Ryan, da da da, da 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 da. Hey. But it's one of those things where I was just kind of like, I mean, I know it was probably that, I don't know if the real guy actually did that, the real investigator, or if it was even like, just one of those things like we just said, just commonplace. They just threw it in there. But it was one of those things, we've seen that before in a Jack the Ripper movie, in a Jack the Ripper comic. And it's just might as well have just used that time to throw some other shit in there. I know it's probably like only 2-3 minute scene or something, but I just feel like that's something that probably could have gone into something else. And that, don't take it as me, like if that one thing wasn't there, this movie would be fucking perfect. Don't take it as that. It's more of one of those things. Like I liked the movie. I thought it was good. I'm glad it was made. What I really liked was how they had like this 80s like horror film synthesizer music. I really liked that. Like it was
I
a John
just assumed
Carpenter.
that was probably because the comic book's an 80s comic book, so maybe that was like the tie-in. It's like since it was a comic book in the 80s, if the movie was made in the 80s, that's the kind of music it would have had maybe. So that's to me. I'm like, I thought that was actually probably the coolest part of it was the music. And as I said, the costume,
The suit was badass.
Yeah, the suit looked great, but I just wanted to see it more. I just felt like if you're gonna drag me along for 20 minutes, don't give me like. It's almost like a Dark Knight Rises thing. It's like, don't just give me like a fifth of the whole movie has Batman in it, and that's almost how this movie felt too. It was like a fifth of the movie had Batman in it, and the rest of it was kind of like you had the investigator. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. I know in the comic book he's not really Batman right away. I mean, they're taken from this thing. But this is where interpretation should come in, and you should kind of like fix that part and throw Batman in there like way sooner since you're going to do a movie. I don't want to tell the guy like how to fucking do it, but it's one of those movies where like it looks clean, it looks nice, it looks pretty. At first, when the first shot of it, I'm like, man, what's this though? Like, this looks like a really low budget movie. It looked like it was just shot in like an old video camera. But then all of a sudden, you saw like, oh no, this looks kind of like somebody had some money, and I'm not dogging it for kind of doing that, but it did have that kind of like almost like they focused too much on all like their like movie school like ways of doing things that they didn't focus 100% on like, well, why don't you just make a really entertaining Batman movie?
You know the British guy that made this, like this fucking American yank comes in here talking this shit on this movie.
Well, I'm not gonna say. I mean, I know we made like drunk.
Did
Batman.
you ever? How was your little drunk Batman movie? How much?
Got more views than you got, motherfucker.
Does the suit look as nice? Does the suit look as nice?
No, but that's the whole point, man. America. It's like Star Wars, it's not supposed to look all nice and shit. It's supposed to be like a used future, except for this is a used Batman future. But
So
I'm
let me get this straight. Batman lives in an RV.
And he fucks a dolphin.
What part in the comic? Yes, and he fucks a dolphin. What part in the comic did that happen? Tell me that now. I am pouring real shit here, motherfucker. He's gonna say.
That's all I'm gonna say though. It's like, I know it's kind of got like a little bit biased here, but Drunk Batman, it's a half-an-hour movie, but I'm gonna say it's a little bit more entertaining. I know it's a comedy, and you're not really supposed to compare comedies and dramas together, but fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna say it. We got more Batman in the suit too. Hell, even if it's only a half suit.
I'll say this easily. His movie looks way better.
Well, yeah, that's because he's got fucking money. We made it on our own goddamn money tower.
Well, we could have. We could.
There just wasn't that Kickstarter magic back in the day.
Nothing stopping us. Like, you know what? We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna make a new drunk Batman out of spite. We're gonna start an internet feud.
Yeah, it's like, hell, we fucking just showed up and did it. You know what I mean? Fucking American style. Yeah, we have to ask people for money and donations and shit.
And look where it got us.
Yeah, exactly.
A podcast.
Doing a fucking podcast because we can't afford to do anything else because that's what poor people do. No, once again, I'm not saying it's like I enjoyed it. I did it, but it's that sort of thing. Like when I watched, just like it's not like if the movie actually did just look like he fucking shot it like in his own like historical town, I would be like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm not gonna, if I knew the movie only cost $1,000 to make and that was just like because he had a $500 camera and a $500 PC, I'd be like, fucking A, right? That's cool. That's badass. But when I see it and it's like, okay, it looks like you probably had, $20,000 plus put into this movie. Okay, like, it's just kind of like, you got a cool suit, fucking show that bad thing off. And don't fucking cut the black whenever you're going to have a sweet action scene. Like, if you're going to cheapen out on anything, don't cheapen out on that part. You know what I mean?
Here I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a minute. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm 100% wrong. But one of the reasons in Batman Begins why the camera was so shaky in his whole fighting style regarded around like swinging elbows and all that was because the suit was so stiff, and if he turned his head too much, the suit was made poorly, so it would rip. Every Batman movie, whenever he turned...
That's like our Batman mask would rip too.
Yeah, exactly. So I could only imagine, I could see it possibly being, don't take it as me trying to totally shoot down your idea, but I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. Maybe the thing is like the suit looks fucking awesome. Yeah, you're right. Don't move too fast because that fucker will rip, and we only got one.
Okay, yeah. So there could be stuff like that too, but I mean, like, you don't have to have a sweet fight scene or something that's like all choreographed and stuff. But you can
just slap people.
Yeah, exactly. You can have a lot of Batman running around the corner punching people out and stuff. It's like it doesn't always have to be. It could be fucking like
Just the
faster
bat
type action where it's just like there and done. I'm totally fine with that kind of stuff. But I just feel it's like that suit was so fucking badass looking. They did a great job on that. I just wanted to see more of that. And then like every single time it cut to black, it's kind of like, I understand there's a time to cut to black in an independent movie, but it's just like, I feel bad because I feel like we're like fucking dogging this guy and pulling him down on his movie. But I'm just saying when I see some money put into something, and then seeing where like you could have actually instead just put sweeter action, maybe because like I fucking hate action movies.
Oh, well, okay, that was your creative choice. No, let me first off say it, I enjoyed the movie. I liked it. I thought it was good. I think, like you said, it could have had more action, but I don't really know. Maybe the reason is just maybe that was hard to pull off, or maybe it was just like it was so, because they clearly did shoot most of that movie at night, so maybe just even hard lighting it's like, oh, what's the fucking point? Or maybe there was something in the way of something that happened. Maybe it wasn't a creative choice. Maybe it was just like, oh, we just can't for
from just shooting movies ourselves, I don't see how that's like totally it. You know what I mean? I see that it just I mean, obviously, like they chose to make a different type of movie. It has it has more like the artsier feel. I guess obviously they're not going to like let's go balls to the wall and have fucking Batman just busting in there, fucking kicking people's asses and everything, and this gonna be badass. Next thing you know, he's gonna be tossing
play Metallica. Yeah,
yeah.
Way we fucking make one.
Yeah, the way we would have made one. So I was like, okay, I understand it's somebody else's movie and so on. But I've seen like some other of those Batman fan movies that have come out in like the last handful of years, where there was one that like it had like the Joker and somebody else in it, and
I can't remember
what it's called. It was like a half an hour long one.
That one was really good. It's like where the kid actually kills the Joker.
Yeah, that's that one I thought was the best Batman fan film probably I saw out of all those like ones that sort of came out in the last 5 years.
It was like Batman. It was like Batman, Harley Quinn, Ventriloquist, and Joker.
That's right. Yeah. I had all those in there, and I thought it was like this. Literally, to me, feels like there's a fucking calling card for somebody to make a new Batman movie.
There's one. Somebody's actually making a Red Hood miniseries right now.
I heard about that too.
Series. I think Laura actually posted something about it on Facebook. I watched the trailer, and it looks pretty cool. They showed like a little bit of like. Just it's kind of like almost reminiscent of just a bad episode, reminiscent of Bad Blood, where Batman goes missing, but it's just focusing on Red Hood looking for him. So
that's cool.
And it looks like from what I saw in the trailer, it mainly looks like he's just kind of going after thugs, but I'm sure they'll get there. I mean, Black Mask seems like an easy one to do. I'm sure you could probably get some other oddball villains in there.
Mm-hmm. No, I think as long as they just do it well, put some action into it, and once again, you don't have to have like complex action. Just do simple stuff, And especially with Red Hood, he's firing guns, so it's like it's like that's like the easiest action to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
so I think, I mean, I'll say check out this movie. It's good.
Oh yeah, no, I think that the Batman, the Ripper, it's definitely worth watching. It's a good one. It's just. It's either there, or maybe the movie just needs to be edited down a little bit, and maybe I'd enjoy it a little bit more. Like if it was like 12 minutes long, it'd probably be like a perfect length,
Mm-hmm.
But it's still neat. I mean, don't get me wrong, somebody's trying something,
I followed
maybe I'm just not the biggest fan of the comic too, so it doesn't really help. Because I started reading that comic, I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Batman fights Jack the Ripper, 1800s. Yeah, sure, whatever. Throw that back. Okay, what's the next Batman comic I got to read?
Well, I'll say the best part of it is probably when he actually has him tied up and he's interrogating Jack the Ripper and they're having their back and forth. That's probably the best part of the movie.
Yeah, that's like the last.
And that's
5
not me
minutes,
shitting on it. That's just
the last
me
5 minutes. Yeah, is just really like that's where it gets really good.
Because they're both acting off each other. The guy that plays Jack the Ripper does a really good job. Batman's being very quiet, very stoic, like you're a monster, you're a maniac, and then like Jack the Ripper just talking insane shit, but doing it very eloquently,
Yeah, that part right there is really that's like the golden moment of it. Mm-hmm. But that's probably a good place to leave off with. We got all sorts of Batman fun stuff. I actually just got the fucking new Batman Ninja Turtles comic came in.
Yay!
So I can't wait to fucking check that shit out. But till then, go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, and more. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. If you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange podcast. Well, I've never watched it my entire life, and it's always kind of the things like, why do I want to see somebody else fucking watch? That's the thing I just don't understand. It's sort of like modern generation is that people are so interested in seeing how other people fucking react or interact. It's just so weird. It's the generation of like, let's not do things ourselves. Let's watch somebody else do it. I feel it almost even starts with things like the History Channel and stuff like that. Fucking watching people work has turned into kids watching other kids fucking play games.